Hey, this is Seth keeping it real. Hope you're having a really good weekend so far. Back in 2014, there was a company that brought in $89 billion. Now, would you consider that a successful year? If you're like me, you probably would. That's really good year. But what if someone told you that that company that made 89 also lost 241 billion? When you make 89 and you lose 241, you are not making money. And if this continues, it's going to put you in debt, and eventually that company will close. And the irony of this lesson is this company was Amazon in the year 2014 when they came out with a cell phone, failed miserably, and other efforts they tried, they actually lost a ton of money. And this is why it is so important that you know your numbers. I have met a lot of sellers who don't know their numbers. What do I mean by that? They're getting sales. They're seeing the money come in. But what's happening is they're actually spending more on that toothbrush they're selling than the actual money they're making for it. By the time all the Amazon fees are paid for, the supplier fees, the shipping fees, not even counting soft costs like time and labor, they'll end up spending, $2 on a toothbrush, and they'll sell it for $1, and they end up making nothing. This is why it is so important that you know your numbers. And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you deep on how to calculate Amazon FBA fees as well as merchant fees. Whether you're selling from your house or selling from Amazon's own warehouses, I'm going to show you both. And I'm going to explain what each and every single fee is. Now, if you're a numbers person, you're absolutely going to love this video. And if you're not a numbers person, you're still going to like this video because I'm going to make it super clear and simple. I believe this world needs more people to explain the details so we understand exactly what to do. And what I love about this is it'll teach you how to get really fast at it. So when you're on Alibaba or AliExpress or DHgate or somewhere else looking for a supplier, you can really quickly know, am I going to make money or not? You don't want to spend an hour on it and suddenly realize, wait a minute, I'm not even going to make money until I've purchased, a minimum order quantity of 3,000, and I can't afford to do that. See, you don't want to be in that place. So I'm going to show you how to do that, how to calculate, how to know your numbers. First thing I want to share with you is making sales does not equal making money. I cannot overemphasize this. Making sales does not equal making money, because you can have a lot of sales, but if you are bringing in several billion but losing 10 billion, you're not making money. So the goal is not just sales, the goal is actually to be profitable. And that is why, to make money, you must know your costs. I know this might sound a little weird, but if you know your costs, you can make really good money. I'll just give you a really simple example. A lot of very successful people who sell on eBay have found when they're going and they're hunting for products to buy, they realize after a while that the most important thing to know is how much is this item going to cost me. Because if they get, some really cool Super Mario game for $2, oh my goodness, I can definitely make a profit. I do not even need to know what the market is for that to know I can make a killing profit off that one product. So you must know your costs. Third, use the 1/3 rule. Well, what is the 1/3 rule? It's very simple. I love this rule. It makes it really easy. Look at it this way. When you sell on Amazon, there are 3 people involved, really ultimately 3 people. There's you, there's Amazon, and there's the supplier. The supplier builds the product, Amazon hosts the product or markets the product, and you sell the product. So each person gets a third. If you can follow the 1/3 rule or better, you're doing really good. In other words, if a product, the total end of the day, it's going to sell for $10, okay? No, $9. Let's keep it simple. And you get 3 of those dollars, and Amazon got 3, and the supplier got 3, that's success. That's really good. That's a simple way to keep this working and to make it work, and it really does work. Now, some people complain about Amazon's fees, because at the end of the day, you're thinking, man, 33.33% of my product is going to go to Amazon? I mean, aren't they kind of piggish? Aren't they kind of selfish taking all that money? Actually, not at all. If you were starting your own company, not only would you have to spend a ton of time marketing it, which I've done several times, and I can tell you it takes a ton of time, right? But at least 1/3 of your revenue is going to go to marketing. Otherwise, you don't get any sales. Well, Amazon's taking care of that for you. Just the fact that it's sitting on Amazon, where there are literally hundreds of millions of people buying from Amazon constantly every year, and it's growing, is a huge help to you. And if you do want to go further and advertise it, it's very automated. You can do it in 3 minutes. In 20 seconds, I can set up an ad for one of my products, and it starts to help it, and it boosts its sales. And number 4, If you know your numbers, you can build wealth. You want to be rich, you want to build wealth, you want to build up money, then know your numbers. And so that's why right now I'm going to take you to all the specific details on how to do this. I'm going to make it as clear as I can. And if you have any questions, please comment below and I'll answer them the best that I can. Here we go, guys. Let's do this. This is a complete breakdown of Amazon seller fees. And there are only a few types, really. If you understand there's just a few types, it's really not that complicated. First of all, you have the referral fee. What is a referral fee? It simply means the fee for selling it on Amazon. Imagine that you sold houses for a living, and you know a guy named John who wants to buy a house, and I recommend him to you, and he buys a house from you. You pay me a referral fee because I referred John to you. I helped you make that money. Okay? In the same way, that's what Amazon is doing. You're basically the privilege of putting it on their store. You're going to pay them a fee for that. So the referral fee is normally a percentage. Most of the time is going to be 15% of the retail price. What I mean by retail, the price you're selling the product for. So if you're selling the product for $10, Amazon gets $1.50 out of that. It does vary, however, and there's a link here, and I'll put it in the notes. Some categories like jewelry will take out 20%. Some categories only take out 10%. I've even seen as low as 6%. But as a general rule, 15% will go to Amazon just for selling the product, and Amazon only gets it when it sells. Now, it's the same for FBM as it is for FBA. What is FBM? It simply means fulfilled by merchant. Okay? Fulfilled by merchant means you ship the product when the customer orders. One of my clients, he said FBM stands for fulfilled by me. I love it. So anytime he fulfills it, it's FBM. That's when you ship the orders from your house or your warehouse. Now, FBA means fulfilled by Amazon. This is when Amazon ships the product when the customer orders, and that's the only time you're going to pay this referral fee. On average, 15%. What is the variable closing fee? A lot of people get confused about this. All it is it's a fee for selling media items, like a CD, a DVD, music, anything like that. What is the per item fee? This only applies if you have what's called an individual seller's account. When you first sign up with Amazon, you can become an individual seller or a professional seller. If you become a professional seller, then you will pay a $39.99 or basically $40 a month fee with all the privileges and tools that comes with it. If you are selling at least 40 items per month, then it's worth it becoming a professional seller. Why? Because you're no longer having to pay this fee. If you're a professional seller, you do not have to pay the $1 fee per item. Okay? So that's why once you're selling at least 40 a month, I recommend you upgrade to that right there, professional seller account. Now, what are fulfillment fees? Now, when we say fulfillment, what we mean is fees that are the result of fulfilling the order, okay, getting it to the customer. You know, you can have a product, but when the customer buys, if no one fulfills it, they're not going to get anything. So you have to have some kind of method, and that takes time, and it takes money, it takes labor. So I'm going to take you through this. First of all, order handling amount. What is this? Order handling per order. It is Amazon's flat cost per order for fulfilling your FBA orders. Now, just to make this clear, this is when Amazon is fulfilling the order. If you are fulfilling the order, this is when a customer buys, and this does not include packaging, shipping costs. Okay, so if you pay someone to do this for you, here, let me go back to that. If you pay someone to do this for you, calculate the cost based on how much time it takes them per order and how much you are paying them for that time. Simple example. Let's just say, this would be a little ridiculous, but let's say it took them an hour per order and you're paying them $10 an hour. So that's going to cost you $10 per item fulfilled. Now remember, fulfilled does not mean the shipping cost of shipping it to the customer. It means you get taking the product, you're putting it in the bag or the box or whatever it is. If there's a little note or a card or something, you're going to stick it in there, you're going to tape it up, and it's ready to go. That's your fulfillment. Taking it to UPS, taking it to FedEx, calling USPS, having them pick it up at your house. That's all fulfillment costs. Now notice this, guys. These costs change based on the size of the package. And this size is not the actual package of the product. Let's say you're selling the toothbrush again. It's the size of the product in the package. Okay, so a toothbrush is smaller than the little package it's going to go in. So you have standard size, you have standard media, like, again, DVDs, CDs, music. You have standard size non-media, that's pretty much everything else that's decently small. And then you have oversized media and non-media. And these are the fees for each of those. The only one you'll pay a fee on is non-media, and that's $1 every time Amazon ships it out. Now again, these fees are irrelevant if you fulfill it yourself. Okay? All right, so that's your first fulfillment fees, order handling per order. The second one is pick and pack per unit. These terms, just so you know, are taken from Amazon because I found it easier if I'm taking it from them. That way there's no confusion. What does this mean? It is the cost of retrieving the item at the warehouse, not shipping to the warehouse, okay? So for example, you send in your product to Amazon for it to be shipped out, okay? And when they receive it, they have to take it out of the box and they have to put it on a shelf somewhere in this huge warehouse and give it a code so it can be shipped out when the customer buys. That costs money. That's what your pick and pack is. But what about you if you are FBMing it? In other words, if you're fulfilling the order, okay? This is when you're retrieving the item at your own warehouse and packing it so it's ready when the customer buys. And as I said up here, this can be shipment directly from your supplier to your house or from the supplier to your warehouse in the inventory store. Okay? It doesn't matter where it's going. It could be to your house, could be to the warehouse, but it's the cost of putting it into the warehouse and getting it ready so when the customer ships, it's really fast and a seamless process. But as a general rule of thumb, if my item is under 12 ounces and it's no bigger than 15 by 12 by 0.75, my fees are going to be very minimal. So if you can keep your products within that range, I really recommend it. And by the way, guys, if you're using Amazal, which by the way, it's so much better than Jungle Scout. I cannot tell you how awesome that tool is, and it's 100% free. Please download it if you have Google Chrome. It's so good. You can set your parameter for the size and the weight so that you're only looking at products that are small standard size, which means your fees are going to be much less. Now check this out when I go back to the screen. Over here, the large standard size, you also have a breakdown, okay? And you have and notice this is standard and this is standard, right? There's also oversize right here. Okay, oversize is huge. I recommend staying away from that. I wouldn't even go into that. It's just not worth it unless I'm a massive company, you know, with a ton of staff. And I'm not, and I don't want to be. I like the freedom that this very small but hustling business brings me, and I like the money it makes. If you do go to large standard size, you do end up paying a little more, but it's still not a ton, and it gives you a breakdown. Okay, so for non-media, this is it. For media, it's 14.0 ounces to 20 pounds. You get the idea? I'm not going to go through all this. I don't want to, you know, it's a ton of data, but that is what pick and pack is. It's the cost of getting it, putting it into the warehouse. Now, what is weight handling? This is the cost of shipping the product to your customers. If you're FBM, fulfilled by you or a merchant, it is the cost that you are going to pay for shipping it to your customer. And again, it's going to be based on size and weight. This is really, really important, and I'll tell you why. Shipping can get really expensive. What I love about FBA is it is so insanely cheap for them to ship it. I mean, look at this. If I have small standard size, and remember, small standard size right up here is it's no bigger than 15 by 12 by 0.75, and it's not even referring to the weight right here. As long as it's under a pound and it's no bigger than that, then it is only 50 cents every time Amazon ships it out. I'm only spending 50 cents, okay? If I'm doing large standard size, and again, you can do large standard size and still make a ridiculously good profit, because I know that 0.75 really limits you on the size, but look at large standard size, okay? Non-media, it's anywhere, let me go down, it's anything smaller or as big as 18 by 14 by 8. So it's the size of the box when it ships is 18 by 14 by 8. If you're doing that, then it only is going to cost you 0.85 cents for up to 1 pound. And as you can see, it just keeps going up. So again, this is an encouragement. If you know these numbers, and you just, even if you just write down a couple, like I don't ever want to go over this weight and over this size, I'm just going to look at this category, you know you're saving yourself money a lot. Now again, that's not as exciting as saying, boy, I sold this for $200, you know? Let me tell you, as a general rule of thumb, this is not only true for Amazon online, but also retail stores. Companies make way more money off the accessories, the cords, the track pads, the teaspoons, the little things. The profit margin is huge. The cost for shipping is low. The cost for storage is way less, okay? Do you know that Best Buy makes more money off the cables that plug into the back of the big screens than the big screens? On some of those big screens, they're literally, it's a couple dollars profit, and some, they lose money. But they only have them there to get people in to buy them. Then when people buy all the accessories that go with it, that's when they make their money. So remember, small is good, especially when you're in the online retail world because shipping is expensive and size costs. Weight handling. So we talked about this. This is the cost of shipping it. Now remember, if you're shipping it yourself, you're going to pay money. You know, very few of my stuff do I ship anymore. And I can tell you right now, with USPS lately raising their prices, it is way cheaper to have Amazon ship it. I know there's other fees, but the time it saves me makes it completely worth it. Okay, now the last part of this is from the FBA revenue calculator. Let me show you, before I go into these, let me show you where I got this from. Let's say I want to, and I love this tool, by the way. If you guys get used to using this tool, it'll make you badass. Like you'll be so fast, okay? Let's say I want to calculate the cost of an item that I want to sell on Amazon. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've been looking at these salt shakers. And by the way, guys, salt shakers, salt and pepper shakers, an outstanding product to look into. Hint, hint. Try not to be overly subtle here, but I'm telling you guys, there are opportunities. I mean, look at the reviews. It's 240. I shouldn't even be telling you this right now. 240 reviews. That's not that many. It's doing well. These things, some of these are top sellers. I'm telling you guys, huge opportunity here, and I do not mind sharing it, but I'm not going to share all my secrets. But if I go down here, I'm going to grab this ASIN number right here. This number identifies this product, okay? So I'm going to hit Command-C on my keyboard. It's probably Control-C if you're on a PC. I go back here, and I'm going to just hit Command-V or Control-V, and I'm going to hit Search. And now it's going to pull up this product. Now I'm going to say, okay, well, let me stop. This right here is FBM if you're fulfilling it. This right here is FBA if Amazon is fulfilling it. If you're shipping it from your warehouse when the customer buys, FBM. If Amazon is shipping it because you already sent it to their warehouse when they buy, FBA. But let me go back and see what was the price of this bad boy. Price was $13.99, so I'm going to assume a little bit lower for the simple fact, you guys, that if I'm not selling these yet, then I need to start at a lower price to get more attention. Prep service, I forgot about this. Prep service is the cost it costs me to have the manufacturer make it, package it. I don't mean package it for shipping, I mean packaging it for when the customer gets it, like the nice packaging it's in, okay? And shipping it, okay? All those costs are wound up in prep service. It's a really weird term. I don't think anyone intuitively thinks prep service, oh, that's the cost of a product from the supplier. Not at all. I had to really research to figure that out, but I hope this is helpful, save you time. I'm not going to go to Alibaba right now, but let's just say it's, you know, reasonably $3 an item. The reason I'm saying 3 is I'm guessing it's going to be about $2 per item, another $1 for packaging it up and sending it to me. So I put $12 here. I put $3 here for the prep service, in other words, for the cost of building it, the supplier building it, putting it in nice packaging for the customer, the retail packaging, and then sending it to me, and then I hit calculate. Notice this, the revenue is $12 right there. Same thing as there. Every time I sell it, I'm going to have $12 dropped in my account. What's the problem with that? Well, there's a cost, $7.84. That's a lot of money. That's over half of that. See that? And keep in mind, guys, that cost is largely this number right here, but it's also Amazon's fees, okay? So I'm going to profit, my margin impact is going to be $4.16. Every time I sell it for $12, I'm going to make $4.16. Now, if you do that 2,000 times, that's a lot of money. That's not so bad. But I want to show you there's a lot of terms here that people just don't understand. Even with these little pop-ups, it's not very easy to understand your first glance. So just real quick, let me just take you through it. This is my revenue, okay? Right here, all right? So Amazon, this, and that. And by the way, this is what I'm actually charging shipping, by the way. This is what I'm charging the customer because they have to pay me because I have to ship it. So my revenue total here is $12. Now I'm going to go down here. Notice my Amazon referral fee, right? This 180, if you check this out, if I go 0.15 times 12, it's 180. So it is 12%, sorry, 15%. 15% referral fee, right? Off of that. This is the cost for simply selling it on Amazon. I only pay it when they charge, when it sells. And the Amazon referral fee over here for your fulfillment is $1. The variable closing fee is 0 and 0. What about order handling? Okay, this is the cost for shipping out the order. Not the actual shipping cost, but putting it into the package, printing the label, all of that. Okay, I pay someone to do this for me for my FBM sales. So let's just say the cost for me is 50 cents, which is reasonable. Amazon's going to charge you $1. The pick and pack is the cost when you send it to Amazon and they get it at the warehouse. Sorry, right here on this side, okay? The cost for unpackaging it and storing it in the warehouse. Not the storage fees, but actually putting it there, putting it in a box so it is ready to ship when the customer buys and they can ship it out fast. That's the pick and pack. So for me, I'm going to say, well, you know, it's not going to a warehouse. It's technically going to my house. This takes me very little time. I'll say 0.25 is what it ends up probably being per item. I'm going to pay my assistant. The outbound shipping, and I'm going to go back over here now, okay? As you can see, we have outbound shipping is the cost of you shipping it to your customer, okay? So if it's coming from you, merchant. If it's Amazon shipping it, they don't charge you for this because it's already covered under weight handling, okay? So right here, that's why outbound shipping here is non-applicable because that's already covered in weight handling. But for you, if you ship it, yeah, you're going to have to pay to ship it. So as I said before, it's about $2.65. And guys, you can do this. If it costs me $2.65 to ship it from my house or my warehouse, I have every right to charge this a little more if you want. It's totally, I used to think that was kind of shady, but now that I understand it better, it's totally legit. It's your business. You can run it how you want. Do you really think that every time a company charges $6 for a book to be shipped, it really costs that much? Media mail? No freaking way. Okay? So you do what you think is best and what will help you get the sale and make the customer happy. Weight handling, as we discussed, is the actual cost of shipping it out to your customer. Okay? We'll just read it. This fee is the weight-based shipping fee for fulfillment by Amazon orders. The fee is calculated based on the weight of the item. And then it gives you more details like large LCD, plasma, projection screens, etc. Okay? So because you already have the outbound shipping covered over here, whoops, stop doing that. Right here, you don't have to put anything in here. But for Amazon, for this salt shaker, it's going to be 0.96 cents. That's the cost for them shipping it out for you. Monthly storage. If you own a warehouse, you have to pay rent, or you have to pay a lease fee, or a mortgage probably, or at least electricity. You have to figure that out based on cubic feet and figure out what is it costing you per month to store your stuff. Okay? I store them at my house, in my garage, so I don't have to worry about that. But if I send it to Amazon, it's going to cost me 2 pennies a month per item. Not a problem. And by the way, the first month, you don't have to pay this at all if you ship it out first. After the first month, then you start paying the 2 cents per month, and it varies by month. This is the lowest cost. I never even think about it. I don't worry about it. It is not worth your time. It's less than a dime. All right, inbound shipping. What is inbound shipping? Let me go back over here. Inbound shipping is the cost of shipping the product to the warehouse. So let's say, for example, you talk to a supplier in Alibaba. They're ready to ship it, and you're going to have them ship it to you, okay? You want to check the product. When you ship it to Amazon, that's inbound to Amazon, okay? Or if you want a warehouse, when you ship it to your warehouse, it's inbound to the warehouse. That's what that shipping cost is. Customer service is the cost of dealing with customer returns. Maybe, for example, when you ship out your product, do you send a message to your customer? You should. I do. Always. Well, I pay someone to do that for me. Okay, that's customer service. What if they want to do a process of return? The nice thing about Amazon is they take care of that for you. They don't send a really cool message like I send. So even FBA, I still send a message to all my buys. But there's no charge here because they take care of all the customer stuff, right? If you're doing it yourself, well, you need to figure out what is that costing me. Well, let's just say it's 0.25 again per order based on the time it takes whoever you're hiring to do it for you. Prep service. This is the most unclear of all, in my opinion, okay? Even this pop-up does not do it justice. All it means is the cost of the item to have it built and prepared for you. So if we go back over here, it is the supplier cost of building the product, packaging the product, shipping it to you. Got that? It's the same here as it is here ultimately. Okay? That's all it is. This does not include the cost of shipping from you to Amazon's warehouse. Inbound shipping includes that. So remember, it's getting the product to you. Okay? It does not include sending it to the warehouse. All right? That's what the inbound shipping was for. So just to recap really quick to make this as easy as possible, referral fee. It's a percentage off of every sale, no matter what, across the board, whether you're FBM, fulfilled by you, or FBA, fulfilled by Amazon. Variable closing fee only applies to media items. It's a small fee. Then you have fulfillment fees. In other words, it's the cost of labor for someone actually packaging it up. So I'll say cost of labor for someone packaging it up and preparing for shipping. Someone has to print the label, someone has to enter it in the computer, all those details. It does not include the actual shipping cost, right? We already talked about what that was, okay? The pick and pack. This is when you send it to the warehouse, unpacking it, putting it into the warehouse. That's what this cost is, whether it's your warehouse or Amazon's. The weight handling, this is the cost of actually shipping the product to your customer, right? So order handling is fulfilling the order, but does not include the actual weight handling, the cost of shipping it out. And I give you a ton of detail here, which if you want one of these spreadsheets, just let me know. I'm happy to send it to you. It'll save you hours. It took me many hours to put this together. Finally, I added these on because they're in the FBA revenue calculator right here. And really quickly to go over them again, the cost of shipping the product to your customer, outbound shipping. Cost of shipping the product from the supplier to your warehouse. Monthly storage, we talked about that, how much it costs to store it in the inventory warehouse. Customer service, doing customer service, answering questions. You know, you guys seen on Amazon how people ask questions about your product, and Amazon will send you an email and say, hey, you're the seller of this product, would you be interested in answering the question? I highly recommend you do that. The faster you answer the question, more likely they are to buy it, also builds up credibility for you. That would be a perfect example of customer service. Someone has to do that. That takes time, and time is money. So you're going to do it, or you're going to pay someone to do it. And by the way, Amazon FBA, I'm including that in here, even though you still have to answer those questions, even if it's FBA. Back to the sheet. Prep service, this is the supplier cost of building the product, packaging it, and shipping it to you. Guys, I hope that this is really, really, really helpful. I know this is a lot of data, but just try to keep it simple. Let me show you one more thing that helps me a lot. Once I have filled all this out as I have just now, and I'm going to hit calculate, I don't have to think too much about the numbers. It's not that big of a deal anymore, okay? Look, your fulfillment FBM, Amazon fulfillment FBA. You can even compare these right now. I know people feel like, oh, I'm saving money if I do FBM because, you know, Amazon is not charging me as much. Well, the truth is there are so many other costs that go into you doing it yourself, not to mention the time you spend on that is time you're losing finding another cool product. See what I mean, guys? It's so important that you realize this. So that's why I really like this calculator. I know it's a little funky with some of the terms. Once you get comfortable with it, you'll just put in the number, bam, and you're done. And I know these look kind of weird. They are editable. The reason they make them like this is if for some reason you know something different. But normally they stay gray because Amazon's already predetermined that for you, so I wouldn't mess with them unless you're really confident about what you're doing. I'm talking about the gray ones, not the white boxes. Guys, this is Seth, Keeping It Real. Hope this has been very helpful for you. One last tip, and I love this tip, okay? If you can keep your product small and light, as a general rule, under 12 ounces. As a general rule, 15 by 12 by 0.75, no bigger, or the other option, 18 by 14 by 8. There we go. If you can keep your product no bigger than that, but even better, the smaller size, 12 ounces or less, you will pay minimum fees. It's still going to be about 30, 30, 30. A lot of times, even those Amazon FBA fees will be lower as a result of that. Just be smart. Think about that. Hope this is helpful. Hey, if this has been helpful to you, please comment below, subscribe. Let me know how I can help you, what kind of videos I can make. If you're ever looking for someone as a coach, let me know. That's what I do on the side, and I love it, and it's fun. This is Seth, Keeping It Real. I wish you the very best success. I'll see you later. Bye.